So friends, you have seen that we have already created the structure of our slider. Now we need to apply style to this slider. So let's go ahead and right click on this CSS file, create a new CSS file and name it as slider.css. Now we have created a new file which is slider.css. Let's split this area into two parts by splitting it horizontally. Now drag this file to the bottom and index.html file should be at the top. You can see I have already linked our slider.css file to this HTML document. Now we have to write style for this slider up here. So let's target our this parent element which is slider. I will write slider ID, so slider, and give it a width of 100% and max width should be 50 ems and margin will be 0 auto, height will be auto, and because we can put anything in this slider, that's why I'm using height auto. You can put any content here, whether it is form, video or any content. Okay, so the slider will adjust according to its height. Okay, so let's position it relative so that the child elements can be positioned relative to this parent element which is slider. Okay, and give it a padding of 0.3 m and let's give it a padding bottom which is 0.11 amps. I'll discuss later why I'm using this padding bottom to 0.11. Let's give it a overflow property which is equal to hidden, and now let's preview it in our browser. You can see the results here. Now at this stage our slider looks much nicer than previous. Okay, let's see it on full screen. Full page preview of our slider is here. Now let's come here and target the figure element of our slider. So to target that, I'm going to write slide class, and inside this slide class where we have a figure element, and let's target that figure element and give it a width of 100% and set its float property to left so that we can stack our figure element one top of another. Okay, one more thing, margin right set to -100% so that you can see all of our figure elements which contains images are stacked one top of another. And let's give it a padding of 0. Now we need to hide these input elements, so let's target them and hide them. To hide these input elements, we simply type input type equal to radio and its display property is set to none so that it can't be displayed on our slider. Okay, and let's reveal our label which we are created earlier. These I'm talking about these labels here, label 1, label 2 and label 3 and so on. So let's reveal them. Target them by writing class slide, then inside slide class we have a class called label which is this class right here. Okay, we are using this class to reveal our label, all of our labels. Since this label class is applied to all of our label elements, we can use this. Okay, so I'll write position to absolute. Okay, this label element will position absolutely, and this is relative to the slider container which is this. Okay, and let's set its height to 1 em and width also 1 em, and let's give it a background color of RGBA 230, 126, 34 and 0.7 for its alpha value. Now you can see we have revealed our label here. Let's give it a top position of 1 em and cursor to pointer, so that whenever you hover over this label the cursor will change to pointer. And now give it a border radius of 50%, or so that it can be displayed as a circular button. Now we need to position each of these labels. We need to shift these labels and provide some spacing between all of them. To do that, I am going to target individual label elements. We can see only one label at this time, but actually these are here at this place and they are stacked one top of another so that they can't be visible right now. To see them, we are going to target each individual label. So I'll write slide, then label 1, okay, and give it a position of left set to 1 em, okay. Now for the second level, I am going to give it a label of 2, which is set to which has left position set to 2.2225 amps, okay. Now you can see the spacing between these labels here. This is first, this is second label, okay. Now let's reveal third label by writing label third 3 and let's correct the spelling, which is label 3, and set it left value to 3.50 amp, okay. Now for the fourth one, label 4, left should be 4.75 amps, okay. And the last one is slide label 5, left position will be set to 6 em, so that we have shifted all of our labels to the right. Now you have seen that I have revealed all the labels here, okay. Now let's select these images, all these images which are overlapped, and provide some style to them, okay. So I'll write slide, then figure, then img, and I'll give it a width of 1024 pixel and max width of 100%, and then I'll set its height to auto and max height to 360 pixel, okay. So now you can see our slide looks much more like a slider. Now we are going to select all these caption here which are overlapped. Before we do that, let's modify all the captions by adding some text or deleting some text. From here I am going to delete some text, and from the next slide I am going to add this in the beginning, and for the other slides I am going to cut some text from here and add it here, so that we can see the differences while we navigate from one slide to other, okay. Because these captions were same, so we need to modify them all. So I have modified all the captions here. Now you can see the preview in this browser, and so now let's select all the caption elements. To do that, I am going to write slide, then inside slide I am going to write fake caption. This will select all the fake caption elements inside the slide, or you can be more specific by writing figure. And let's apply a background color of 222, and then it color, let's set it color to pound ECF0F1. And also we are going to set it position to absolute, because we want this caption to be hide initially and only loads whenever the current slide is loaded. After loading the image, this caption will automatically slide from bottom to top. Okay, so let's make that happen. We are going to set its padding to 1 em and also bottom position to minus 999 pixel, which completely hide the caption by sending it way off to the screen. Let's give it some line height, which is 1.6 ems, and let's provide it one more property called box sizing. It's equal to border box, because we have applied some padding to this element here, so that's why we need to provide it box sizing border box, so that it will not overflow from its parent element. Now what I want to do, I want, whenever I click on this label, its relevant input element will be activated, and then it looks for its sibling figure element and set its opacity to 1, because we are going to hide all the images initially which are not checked. Okay, so how to do that? Let's find all the figure elements whose relevant input element is not currently checked. Okay, so how to do that? Let's see. Let's write slide class. Inside this slide class, I'll look for input element, and I'll find input element whose type is radio, and then I'll look for not checked. Okay, so I'll look for not, and then I'll say checked. So then I'll look for the all the figure elements whose input elements are not checked. So how we can do that? I am going to use a sibling selector here, and I'll write figure, which means, let's explain it here. I am looking for slide class, then I'll look for the input element whose type is radio and currently not checked. Okay, and then find sibling of this element here, which is figure. It means whenever this input element is not checked, we can select all the figure elements and set its opacity to 0. Watch what happens when we set its opacity to 0. It automatically sets all other 4 figure elements opacity to 0, because they are not checked. Because by using radio buttons, we can only select one element or one radio button at a time. Okay, so how this logic is working, let's see it in our HTML. Here you can see we have one input element and one label element. Okay, this label element has a 4 attribute, which is equivalent to this id attribute value here, which means whenever this label is clicked, its relevant input element, which is this one, will be automatically marked to checked. Similarly in this case too, whenever this label element is selected or clicked, its relevant input element, which is this one, will be marked as checked, since we have 4 attribute equivalent to its id attribute. and it's similar for all other input and label elements. Whenever we check this input element, it will look for its sibling figure element, which is this. Okay, it at a time we can select only one figure element, and by using this we are selecting all the four figure elements which are not checked and setting its opacity to 0. And whenever click any of these label, it will activate its relevant figure element and display all the images and fig caption here. Okay, now let's reveal our fig caption whenever this current slide is loaded or whenever this current image is displayed. Okay, so how can we do that? Now this time I'm looking for the current input element which is checked, and then it find its sibling figure element, and then inside that figure element we look for the fig caption element. Okay, and let's see how to do that. Slide, then we'll find input whose type is equal to radio, and then we'll find the current checked element, and then we'll look for its figure element which is sibling of its checked input element, and then I will find the direct descendant of figure element, so which is the fig caption, and select it. Now we want to reveal it. Let's see how to do that. I am going to set bottom padding to 0.3 ems, and this will reveal the fig caption. So whenever you click on this, you can see different caption for each of these images here. Now let's set its width. Let's see first this. You can see that it is overflowing from its container element. Now you can see it is overflowing from its parent element. This is because we have set earlier a padding of 0.3 em to the parent slider element. So let's subtract that 0.3 em and 0.3 em, which is equal to 0.6 em, because padding is applied both to the left and right. Okay, so we'll subtract that by using calc function. So I'll write calc and then write 100% minus 0.6 em, and this is important that you provide spaces here. Okay, so that calc function will work. If you don't provide any space, this will not work for you. So now you can see it is exactly the same width of as of its image or its parent element. Okay, we are going to change the background color whenever it loads. So I am going to write RGBA and 34, 49, 63, and let's set its alpha value to 0.6 so that it will display like this. And let's remove the background color which we have set earlier for the fig caption, this one. Now let's apply some border to this parent slider element. Okay, let's see the preview in full page and apply some border to this element right here, which is slider. Let's go to the top and right here border 2 pixels solid, write this color here 34495E. okay, this will apply a solid border of 2 pixels to this element right here. and now see the preview in full page. Now you have made a CSS3 slider here. Now let's apply some transition to this figure element which is not currently checked. So I'll write transition and the property which we want to transition. So I'll write opacity and then for how many time or duration. So I'll write for 0.6 seconds and save this. Let's see its effect on the browser. Now you can see it much more smoother transition between these images. Okay, now let's add some animation which will slide our images from right to left. So we are going to use keyframes. Okay, 8 keyframe rule. So I'll write 8 webkit keyframes. Okay, and then the animation name, I am going to give it a name of animate slide. Okay, and let's inside these curly braces I am going to set 0% to transform translate x and give it 100%. This will transform our figure element to 100% to the right. Okay, and 800% it will shift back to the x horizontal x axis which is to the left. So we'll write transform translate x to 0%. And now we want to add this animation to our elements which are currently checked. Okay, so let's find the elements which are currently checked. To find that we are going to use slide input type equal to radio, and then we'll look for check and find its sibling figure element, and then inside these curly braces I am going to write animation property and set the animation name to animate slide, and then time second 4 second 0.4 second and behavior will be linear. Okay, now save this and click here. Now you can see your images are sliding from right to left. Okay, now let's copy this bit of code 3 more times, one for Mozilla Firefox and set its vendor prefix to emoji, and one more time for general which is only 8 keyframes. This will spotted in all the modern browsers and their latest update such as Chrome and Firefox, and this one is for older browser which uses vendor prefixes. Okay, now add some styles to this heading here. We are doing it at the end, but I forget to do that. That's why I'm doing that at the end. Let's do that right now. I'll write header. Inside header we'll look for h1. Just it's a header, and inside the header I'll look for h1 and then apply text align to center and font size to 2 ms and margin bottom to 2 ms and padding to 0.5 ms, font family to Helvetica sans serif, and background color to pound 34495E. Okay, and set its color to, let's set this to this. Now we have created a full-fledged CSS3 slider here. You can navigate to your slides by clicking on these labels here, and this is much smoother animation. We have not used any kind of JavaScript to make this happen or create any buttons or click events, anything. Okay, so one thing we left to do is our caption. I said that the caption will only display when the image is completely loaded. Okay, so let's do that too. Come back to our fake caption element, which is here, and apply transition to 0.5 second all, and let's see what happens. Now you can see when the image is loaded, then this description will be displayed. Okay, so friends, one more thing is left to do. I want whenever I hover over these labels here, their color should change, and whenever I click one of them and make it active, its color should be highlighted for that time, and it should show that which slide is currently activated. So let's do that. We are going to write a selector. First of all, we are going to write slide. Inside this slide class, we'll look for the label. Then we'll write hover, and for highlighting, let's write slide input type equal to radio, and then look for check, and then find its sibling label element and set its background color to RGBA 131 206 130 and 0.7 for its alpha value, and let's apply some transition, which is transition 0.2 second background. Okay, now you can see that the current label is highlighted. Whenever you hover over these buttons, their color will be changed, and whenever you click one of them, its relevant slide will be displayed, and this button is highlighted so that you can understand on which slide you are currently on. Okay, so we have finished our CSS3 and HTML5 slider. Now go ahead and create your own sliders and practice. Do some experiment with it, modify captions here, change your own images, put some extra content here. And so friends, thank you for watching this video. Have a nice day and keep learning. Hope I'll create some future tutorials too.